All right, so now we're getting into the actual meat of the course of 101. And again, I want to thank you for clicking the link and sort of going with me on this journey. I do envision a 6 chapter sort of section to this 101, so this is the first real one where we'll have interaction and activity together. Uh, again, ask you to subscribe. Does a couple of things. First, it knows that the stuff that I'm doing is interesting. Second, it will notify you as I release new chapters going forward. And again, this is just a way to create a community. Also hit the like button if you like what I'm doing, if it's helping you, if it's sort of creating action steps for you, that would be greatly appreciated. And probably most important for me, because I can't obviously see you and things of that nature, is to leave comments, both frankly positive or negative. It helps to understand what I'm doing. Also ask questions. It sort of helps me understand what I might be missing. Again, this is just a way for us to create a community together and really know that the work I'm doing, trying to help people, is paying off. So I greatly appreciate that. So let's get into this. So again, this first assessment together. So remember what I asked you to do is get a piece of paper out. So get a piece of paper out and have your pen together. And I'm going to try to do this virtually with you. So first thing I need you to do is draw a circle on the page. Decent enough so that you can write inside. But that's the first thing. So go ahead and do that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create sort of 2 sections or 2 tags. Inside the circle, I'm going to have you write down, what do you have, what's going for you, sort of what position you're in. And then on the outside is you can write down what's your weakness or what you don't have or whatever, right? So again, sort of in the circle is, when I think about a goal is what I have in front of me, what I know I got, and then on the outside of that is what I don't have. So again, this is a way I go through goal setting that's a little bit different than most, because it really helps me understand what I've got and what I don't have, and both of those are important because you need to, as you'll see when you do this, at least for me, it's kind of eye-opening. So take a shot. So again, I tried to go back 15 years and realize where we were. I tried to take a self-reflection, and I wanted to share that with you. So again, if you don't know our story, which we've done a couple of times on this blog and wrote a book about it, we started with about $40,000 in cash. We both worked, although I would say the income wasn't great. Again, I understand that both the cash and the income were maybe more than some, but certainly less than most. And again, that income was dual income, right? It wasn't each. That's where we started. I had read, hundreds of books on finance and biographies and real estate. I did have a real desire, I don't know, since I was very young, to sort of control my own future. Had always been sort of realizing that money was the way to get there and have that independence. I grew up in an environment where money was scarce, and you had to make decisions and sacrifices. And I was never comfortable with that. It just felt off. I don't know how else to explain it. We were willing to sacrifice. I knew the importance of momentum, the importance of not celebrating early. Had sacrificed my whole life, frankly, and was sort of comfortable doing that. We were absolutely bought in together, and I don't say that lightly. I know I've shared our first rental story with you in the past, but it was painful. If you haven't heard it, always happy to share it again. But again, we bought a rental. We're on cloud 9. It didn't go well for 6 months, and it could have washed us out. The other thing is I was willing to work every day. I had no special access. I believe in brute force sometimes. There for a 5 or 6 year period, I was looking every day. No special access. I was just on realtor.com. Nowadays, it might be Trulia or Redfin or LoopNet or whatever, but that's where we were. And we had great credit. I don't really remember where they were exactly, but I'm sure both of them were over 750, as we'd never missed a payment together or anything of that nature. So again, that's where we sort of were. I would tell you to stop this video and it took me probably 8 to 10 minutes just to do this. And I was only thinking about it in the past, so it could take you a little while to do that. So feel free to stop the video and do this. When you're done, this is, the next part is, okay, what don't you have, or what might you need to be successful? So again, trying to be, honest with you and sort of self-reflect where we were. We didn't know anybody, frankly, in real estate, let alone in Fresno. We had no skills, right? We weren't contractors, right? We were in technology. If it had to do with Excel or PowerPoint, we'll get there. But we couldn't paint or sheetrock or, put in floors or anything. We had no family members in real estate. It wasn't like we had a rich uncle that, took us under a wing, or an aunt that had an apartment builder or anything of that nature. We didn't know what a good deal was, right? It's easy to say we want a good deal, but we really didn't know what that was. So there was just so many things that we didn't know. We chose a market where we didn't live. It was 2.5 hours away one way, so 5-hour round trips. We knew that we were not comfortable out of state. Admittedly so, I'm a control freak, so I had to be able to go see it, touch it, drive it, walk on the lawns, whatever it was. And again, we didn't really know anyone, so this list can be even longer and longer. But again, we didn't have any banking relationships. We didn't have any mortgage brokers. It's just really all we had is, if you sort of look at this, is just a sheer desire and a couple of chips to start playing with. So we were not, frankly, I don't think we were set up for greatness. But again, through execution, time, we were able to get through this. So again, pause the video and take time to go through this, because it should take you, if it doesn't take you 20 minutes to go through this, I don't think you've done yourself a service. So, and that's 10 minutes for each, what do I have and what I don't have. So again, I just want to make an important distinction, right? When I go out and I hear goal setting and all of this, some people try to tell you to focus on your weakness. I don't, as you'll see, I don't really believe in that. I think it's equally important to know your strengths. And perhaps something you need to do is you need to hire or complement or build teams, right? Something you've heard me say over and over is real estate's a team sport. So you need to figure out who on your team could help, balance out your strengths, or balance out your weaknesses with your strengths. Right? The thing about this game, this journey you've decided to go on, is it's not a solo journey. Frankly, you're allowed to have as big a team as you want. And I mean that, right? You may think you only need a property manager and an agent and a mortgage broker. No, your team could be much, much bigger than that. But again, I think it all starts with that other slide, understanding what you have and what you need. I'm going to ask you to talk about or think about two different goals when we talk about goal setting. Now that you've done this self-assessment, one is going to be sort of what I call your North Star, and then the other one is going to be sort of looking at attacking your weaknesses. I do like goals that are very specific. I don't like wishy-washy sort of self-introspection. I want to be a better investor. Well, what does that mean? That's hard to measure, right? So I like measures with metrics, either dates or quantities or dollar amounts or something of that nature. I'm going to ask you to take your self-assessment and review it with your significant other. Because what you'll find is, it will be something that you can build upon and strengthen together. Also, they may find things that you have or don't have that are equally important, because the more complete that self-assessment is, the more the better your goals will be, and the more teamwork you can have going forward. All things that again are important to sort of look at and understand. So again, I wanted to come back to this slide as I skipped forward just a little bit too quickly, because again, I think it's important to understand you have sort of your journey goal, which is on the left, but you also have your weaknesses and strengths that you're going to attack early, which will make it easier to go after the bigger goal, right? So I think the North Star is what we always talk about, right? It's the top of the hill. But I'll tell you, the sooner you sort of address your weaknesses and build team members around that, the better off you're going to be. So these are some things that I've heard. I want to replace my significant other's income in 5 years. That's a great goal. I'd like to have 3 properties free and clear, worth $200K each, and producing $5K a month in gross rent when I retire in 20 years. Again, great goal. I want to have 1 rental house per child So when they graduate high school in 15 years, this one was obviously a family with a couple of young children, they'll have options. And what they meant by that obviously is they're anticipating the rental house being free and clear. They could sell the house for college. They can take a loan against it. I would recommend a loan in most cases because a loan is not a taxable event. If the child wants to go off and do some entrepreneurial thing, they again could, in theory, use that house as a bank, either via a loan, or maybe they want to sell it and seed a company they're starting. Who knows? But the idea is they have options. I want to be financially free, and again, I believe there's a way to calculate that. Look at your monthly expenses and put a number above that. In X number of years, is it 15 like it took us? Is it 20? Is it 5? Whatever that happens to be. So, quick knowledge check. What's the first step I asked you to do? Right? Hopefully you have it in front of you. If not, hopefully you remember what it is, because I do believe that's an important first step. And then what are the 2 goals I want you thinking about when you sort of start to lay the foundation? So again, the answer to the first one is, it's a self. I want you to do a self-assessment first. Where you are today. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. You're going to be sharing this with yourself and your significant other and anybody on your team, because it's going to allow you to move together in complete understanding. Number 2 is I want you to understand what the North Star is, because I want you to understand what the top of the hill looks like. But then again, we're going to break that down into smaller chunks, right? What can I do in a year? What can I do in 3 or 5 years, or whatever? And then what are your weaknesses and strengths going forward? So again, it's important to understand, again, with real estate, you don't have to do this all by yourself. I made that mistake the first 2 or 3 years, trying to be in my own little cocoon and doing my own little things. And the beauty of real estate is there's no penalty for asking for help and getting team members to help you along the line. So again, I wanted to share with some real life examples. I have 2 investor stories that I thought I would go through. So investor 1, no time. I mean, I'd be shocked if they're not working 80 plus hours a week, traveling all over this wonderful planet. But they were paid handsomely to do that. They admittedly suffered from crap big time. Again, crap being cash rich, asset poor. They had impressive amount of money stuck in stocks and in cash, but they realized that was a problem. They frankly knew that they couldn't keep the pace of life. They weren't getting any younger, and they saw a clock on how long they could keep doing, and realized that their lifestyle had sort of worked its way into the income, and that would lead to a very bad outcome if they were not careful. I actually heard this investor say that they thought if they were asked to keep doing this for more than 5 years, it might actually kill them, which is a frightening thought, and something I hope would happen to none of you. Your work kills you. That's just not okay, people. So they wanted to secure 10 free and clear properties. Again, you got to remember this individual had that kind of income, but weren't using it well. Let's be clear. But they wanted to get 10 free and clear rental properties inside of 5 years or less that were producing at least $15,000 in gross rents. So I thought that was a really good goal for them, and again was something they're attacking ferociously right now. So number 2, kind of a reverse story. In this case, this individual had 2 young kids younger than 3. That's what I mean by that, less than 3. They're less than 3 years old. They wanted to do something other than a 529 plan, which I think is the college fund, where you put away and you can take out, use for college expenses. What they wanted was 1 rental per child, and then they were going to stick 15-year mortgages on them because they wanted them free and clear by the time they were 18 and graduating high school, which I thought was very creative. And then the goal was on their high school graduation day was to the kid gets a free and clear rental property at 18, assuming they graduate high school, which I thought was interesting, right? Nobody gave me a house when I was 18 when I graduated high school, but I see the options there. Now, whether or not they actually give it to them, we'll see, but they'll probably give them the access to it, meaning, what do you want to do, right? Do you want to go off to an expensive college? Well, great, let's sell the house or let's get a loan or whatever. But maybe if they want to start a company, that free and clear house is seed capital. So I applaud this forward thinking and what they could do. It's frankly a great goal. And again, like I've said, right, they can use this for college or a business or whatever they happen to desire, which I thought was pretty cool. So again, that's the first topic. Again, do me a favor and subscribe so you get the next chapters as I do them. I'll probably do that in the next couple days. Hit the like button. And as always, leave a comment about goals, maybe something I've missed or something you're interested in. That would be very helpful. Have a great day.